Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you all here on this beautiful day. It's beginning to feel just a little bit like fall, but still lots of lovely warm days ahead. Thank you for choosing to spend an hour or so with us here this morning. I know we have one newcomer in the house because we have a lovely guest with us. So our cousin Will is here this weekend, so we welcome him.
Very well.
We'll give him one of those little gift bags when we have a chance. That would be lovely. And we are delighted to have Luis Salvador and Jack Widener here this morning. Let's thank them. You want me to tell them about your...
That's fine.
She's had knee replacement surgery less than 3 weeks ago, so she's a trooper. She's a pro. She always shows up for a gig, no matter what.
No matter
And
what.
she's going to do the Charleston.
Oh,
She's going to dance as well. Wonderful. Wonderful. So, and thank you all for being here. I always like to do a couple of announcements just up front. This is Grandparents' Day. Did you know that? Kind of a new thing. Happy Grandparents' Day.
Okay.
Yeah. This coming Wednesday, September 13th, Unity Worldwide every year does a World Day of Prayer. And it kind of starts Wednesday evening, runs all through Thursday. So we're having a Wednesday evening prayer service here at the church for anyone who might like to come out. Just a very quiet service, some songs, some prayer and meditation, probably light candles for who or what we're lifting up in prayer. The focus is on healing. They have the theme, the heart of healing. So anyone is welcome. That's this Wednesday, the 13th at 7 o'clock. And we're delighted to announce that the weekly yoga class here at the church is going to be resuming. Yogi Tamara is back to full strength and eager to get us going again. So that'll be starting October 5th, Thursdays at 1 o'clock in the fellowship area back there, anyone who wants to do yoga. And it's suitable for people at all levels. You can be a brand new beginner or someone who's been practicing it for a while. So thank you, Tamara. We're looking forward to being back at that. And I think that might be about it, except a warm thank you to everyone here, everyone listening in online for your ongoing support of the church that keeps us going. We are grateful. All right, well, we will begin to think about prayer, whatever we are lifting up in our thoughts, holding the highest in mind and heart for. And Louise and Jack will lead us into that with a couple run-throughs of Surely the Presence.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the holy hush, glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Let's allow ourselves to close our eyes for a moment. Maybe take a deep breath. Allow ourselves to relax and become very centered and still and in touch with the breath of life flowing through us, feeling that energy within us, that power, that presence that is with us always, that is always healing us, that is always renewing and strengthening us, that we are never separate from. How grateful we are to know that in all times, in all circumstances, whatever the challenges we might be facing, the power and presence of God is with us at all times and seeking to lead us in the path of life, of peace, of freedom, and of joy. We affirm this truth for everyone in our sanctuary this morning, both here and afar. For everyone we are lifting up in our thoughts and holding the highest for, we see them whole and well. We know that that presence is guiding each one of us toward wholeness at all times. We are grateful to know we are one give thanks for that truth. And so it is. Amen. Isn't it nice to hear Jack playing again? It's been a while. All right. Well, I know you guys have another song for us. We'll have you just announce it, whatever it is, as you get going here, okay? All right. What should it be?
So, this is a tune that was written back in 1935. Music by Al Dubin and words by Harry Warren. And it's entitled September in the Rain. Here we go. The leaves are brown, came tumbling down, remember, at September in the rain. You know the sun went out just like a dying ember. That September in the rain. The spring of love, your love, I heard you whisper. The raindrops seem to play a sweet refrain. Well, though spring is here, to me it's still September. That's September in the rain. September, that's September, that's September, that's September in the
Thank you. I love that scat. Haven't heard that in a while. Just love that. Thank you too. And you guys just sit and relax up here for a little bit. Here. Fun. Well, since it was Grandparents' Day, I sort of picked a joke along that line. I always like to start with something funny, and I've probably told this one before, but I think it's a good old one. It's about a woman who she was grandwoman. She was 80 years old, and she kind of made the local news. There was somebody from the paper wanted to go out and interview her because they learned she was getting married for the 4th time at 80. She'd been married 3 times before. So an interviewer went to by her place to interview her and said, "Found out what's your husband do?" Well, he's a funeral director. And he said, "Well, that's very interesting. If you don't mind me asking, what did your other husbands, what were their occupations?" And she said, "Well, let's see, looking back," she said, "my first husband was a banker, and then my second husband, who I married in my 40s, he was a circus performer. And then around 60, married a preacher, and now a funeral director." And the interviewer said, "Well, that's just kind of fascinating. Why do you suppose you married men with such diverse occupations?" And she said, "Well, I married 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, 4 to go." That's a good joke. All right, good planning. Well, I think it's because of World Day of Prayer this week, and they've identified this theme of the heart of healing. That idea has been rolling around in my head a lot this week. What is the heart of healing? I'm not sure what Unity Worldwide meant by it, but I've been just really pondering what it means to me. What does it mean to you? What is the heart of healing for you? What's the core of it? When you were focused on healing, or the times you've been healed of things and you've been aware of that, where did it arise from? Where was the core of it? What's the heart of healing? It's something going on in us all the time, right? We've been being healed our whole lives. Injuries, wounds, pains, emotional pain, all kinds of injuries or wounds we've been healed of all through our lives. So you'd think we'd be experts at really kind of what is the heart of it, how does it work, how do we work with it. But it's a tough one. It's a tough one to really kind of really focus on, given our great investment in it. It's not always easy to be clear on how do we work with our own healing. How do we cooperate with that's going on all the time. So I thought, that would be a nice thing to explore a little bit, and I thought I'd share a little bit from a few of my little healing journeys, and hoping it'll trigger some thoughts for you, some of the healing work you've been doing, you have done, or that you might be doing right now, and maybe cause some reflections for you on how you're working with that or supporting that. To me, it seems the starting point, the heart of healing, the core, is God, whatever you choose to call that. It's the power, the presence, the energy, the force that is within us and in all creation, that infuses our universe. It seems to me that's the source, that's the heart of healing. It's kind of this mysterious, miraculous life force that infuses our minds, bodies, spirits, that is with us always. Certainly, I think what Jesus of Nazareth taught again and again, when people were talking to him about the works he was doing, he says, it's not I, it's the Father within that does his works. It's the work of the creative energy, not me. I'm a channel, not the source. He seemed to be saying that very clearly. And don't be thrown by the idea of the Father within, because Jesus clearly didn't perceive God as a parent figure. The translations came down to us that way to kind of give us that impression, but he said very clearly in the scriptures too, God is spirit, and those who worship must worship in spirit and in truth. So he's talking about it's a spirit that infuses us and all creation, and that's what flows through, that was what flowed through him, enabling him to do remarkable things, enabled him to have healing energy flowing through him. And I think does the same for us. So God is spirit and is flowing through us. So we're not in charge of our own healing. We tend to think we are often, that it's all up to us. We've got to work it out. We've got to figure it out ourselves. But has it actually worked that way in our lives? Did you heal yourself? Did you figure out how to heal yourself of everything in your lives? I don't think I could say I've done that. I mostly floundered around, antenna up, looking for ideas, open to suggestions. That seems to be more my role. I love there's in science, I've been very interested in recent years, and I think it's been around a while. I've been interested in this thing they call emergence theory. How new things emerge, how new things come into existence. And it seems to me it's just kind of the same truth being explored in different language. Emergence theorists talk about the energy within us that's all about creating or restoring wholeness, and it's working all the time. And they talk about these language like this, like in all living beings and living systems, from the cells in our body to things like beehives or forests. They talk about a self-organizing activity that's going on in all these systems and cells and so on. It's kind of our default inner growth system that we don't make happen. We don't turn it on or off. We're not in control of it, but it's in there. It's part of us. We would call that the presence, the energy, the source, God in us. They're talking about it as a self-organizing activity that's behind emergence of all new things. It's kind of fascinating. And it's going on all the time. Like in our physical bodies, there are new neural networks forming, new cellular networks. Infections are being confronted and neutralized all the time without our telling ourselves what to do. New ideas are coming up in mind, sometimes unexpectedly. Some new idea that is the right thing for you to pursue or to reflect on. It's kind of always going on. Our ever-evolving emergent selves. Always going on in us. Sometimes we're more aware of it than others. If you're kind of aware, you're in a kind of a growth period. A lot is kind of going on. Other times we're not very aware of it at all. And we think we're calling all the shots, deciding everything in our lives. But in fact, this self-organizing activity, this power and presence in us is always at work, guiding us back toward wholeness, bringing us new ideas, and healing us again and again. So I think that's a real basic thing. To me, the heart of healing is that power and presence that's in us all and that infuses the universe. So how do we work with that? How do we work with that? Well, I read something by a doctor years and years ago, and I'm probably remembering it somewhat differently than I read it, but talked about it as a very simple role we play. Simple, but we have to kind of lay down our arrogance and our controllingness. But the basic way we work with healing, again and again, is like three basic things that are behind most of the healing we do. And it helps to start with a physical model. That's the easiest to understand. We cleanse, we align, bring things into alignment. We clean, we bring things into alignment, and we wait. Those are the three steps. We cleanse, we align, we wait. It's easiest to see that with something simple, a physical thing like a broken finger or a limb or a joint or something like that. Knee joint, perhaps. You kind of, you cleanse, you bring it into alignment the way it's supposed to be, the natural alignment of it, and you wait. You wait for the energy to do the healing. You wait for the healing to come. But we do this in all kinds of things. And sometimes, our egos thinking we're in control, we overdo certain things, like cleansing. We know, anyone knows any injury or wound needs to be cleaned, right? That's basic, that's the place to start. You clean it. Sometimes we do too much. Like one of my little healing stories. A few years ago, I took a little fall and I scraped up one of my knees kind of badly, and just kind of started cleaning it and to keep infection out of it. And every day I was dousing it with hydrogen peroxide and Neosporin, and it wasn't getting any better. I don't know whether maybe some of you have had an experience like this. I overdid the cleansing, too much cleansing. Went to the doctor about it because it wasn't getting better, and he said, too much. Just soap and water and leave it alone. Leave it alone, it'll heal. A good lesson in healing for me. A lesson is, clean, but don't overdo, or you'll block the natural healing energy that's going on there. And there need to be bacteria. There need to be good bacteria and bad bacteria. They all work together. We're learning this about the gut now, too, that there has to be good bacteria. It needs to be a diverse bioculture in there and out in our world around us, too. So we don't want to overdo that, but we clean things out. In life, to cleanse, if there's a situation in our lives where there's clearly healing needed, where things aren't going well, or we're going through a rough patch, I think instinctively we often think about simplifying. Would you agree? That's kind of the form cleansing takes, I think, quite often in our lives. Getting rid of the extra, the burdensome, the unnecessary things. Simplifying. One of my favorite writers in grad school was Thoreau. It was simplify, simplify. Our lives are frittered away by details. I feel that a lot. Do you feel like your life is being frittered away sometimes by details? Simplifying. I think very often we know we need to simplify things. That's part of the kind of cleaning of a situation before we can begin to feel better, for guidance to come more clearly to us with less clutter in our daily lives. I remember at a difficult time in my life, especially with finances and things like that, trying to figure out how to get along in life, how to earn my living and so on. A very confused time, dealing with a fair amount of depression. It became very clear to me, just keep up your morning walk and meditate. Walk, meditate. Very simple. Do that every day and you'll feel better. Walk and meditate. And I did. Over time, that kind of cleansing activity, simplifying, eliminating the unnecessary stuff, keeping it simple, focusing on what works, and just trusting things are going to get better over time. I think we do that instinctively sometimes, don't we? We eliminate the unnecessary, we focus on the most important things that are nourishing to us, and then in time we get better. Cleansing, there's a cleaning that goes on in all healing. The second one is aligning. Align. We talk about getting centered, quite often. We have different words for this. In terms of, with physical, we can see that kind of align a joint or something like that. But I think we do this in our lives too. We look at what's out of joint. We look at what's out of alignment, what's keeping us scattered and not feeling centered, not feeling like who we are, our authentic selves. We look at that. We try to bring things back into alignment, into a more natural state, living the way we're meant to live, getting rid of the things that are not who we are. Those are things we think about in times of healing. Following the guidance that comes to us on how to live authentically, being who we are, being in alignment with ourselves, being centered. So it's cleanse, align, and then wait. There's a lot of waiting involved in healing, would you agree? A lot of waiting. We are not the timekeepers. It takes the time it takes. And sometimes it's we don't know. We don't know how long that's going to take. We have to proceed with a kind of trust in the healing process and the energy that's flowing and that is underway. And some things take a while. And I think we've all had experience in this waiting period. Would you agree? We've all had to wait for healing. I had another one of my little stories. I had a little thing like a little nodule on my thyroid once that appeared years and years ago. And I was kind of concerned about it, so I went to the doctor about it, and he did a biopsy, took a little sample from it, and he called it a heterogeneity. I love this medical language. The composition of different things. So heterogeneity means a whatchamacallit, or a thingamabob, or a doohickey. So I had a doohickey on my thyroid, a heterogeneity. The biopsy, he said, was inconclusive. And so the textbook recommendation was to surgically remove it. Well, I was not eager to do that, as you might imagine. And he was a mature doctor. He had a lot of wisdom. I was grateful to have been referred to him. I don't know how I found him now, looking back. But he said, I'm okay with just keeping an eye on it for a while, if you want to do that. If it's cancerous or something like that, we're going to know. It'll grow. We will know in time, and we can do another biopsy later if you want. If it changes in some way, we'll just keep an eye on it. I was fine with that, and that's what we did. And I remember going back at least one 6-month check, maybe hadn't changed really. And then sometime in the months after that, maybe even as much of it as a year after I first became aware of it, over Thanksgiving weekend, it just kind of ruptured. Felt a little sore. For a day or so there, and then went away. And I went back in, and sure enough, it was gone. It had taken care of itself. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen to every situation, every little lump we experience in life, but I was comfortable with waiting and watching. My doctor was comfortable with waiting and watching, and the body took care of it. The waiting was what I needed to do, and prevented me from having to have a more invasive surgery and requiring me to take probably a medication, for the rest of my life after that. So we hang in there through that waiting time. We try to control our worry. We get the information we need. We consult. We get the information we need, and we wait. We work with our doctors, and then we wait. Doctors don't control our healing either. Amen? They don't control our healing either. They give us data, input, and we consider it. We integrate that into our lives. We follow what makes sense to us as the right thing to do, and then we wait with trusting the healing energy that's flowing through us all the time. We wait for things to shift, and things always shift, things always change, and this healing energy that's in us, that's in all life forms, is always flowing, is always at work. That brings me a lot of comfort to remember that the heart of healing is not me calling the shots. It's not me having to figure it out, find the right practitioner or whatever it might be. These are all resources we use and things we draw upon, but really God is the process. God is the source of it, this energy, this power in us. So that's kind of how it works. The guidance comes from all directions is my sense of how this healing comes. As we watch and wait, as we kind of clean and align ourselves, and wait, what happens is that we're guided back to wholeness. Our wholeness is supported in all kinds of ways. At least that's how it's worked for me. I was trying to think about probably one of the most challenging healing times in my life and how it worked. And it was mostly a grief situation. It was after my mother's passing, and it had been difficult passing, and how the healing occurred after that. And it took a while, as these things often do. But in retrospect, I kind of marvel at the amazing self-organizing activity that was going on, bringing healing channels my way. You know, like somebody suggested, I was at OSU doing technical writing at the time, talked to somebody in the faculty staff assistance program, maybe they'll recommend a good counselor, grief counselor for you. So I did that. They asked me what I was looking for, and they recommended the perfect person. She was a hospice psychologist and had her own private practice and had dealt with a lot of personal loss herself. She was perfect for me, and I spoke with her once a week for 6 months probably, something like that. Very, very helpful. Someone suggested their massage therapist, how good she was, what healing hands she had. And I went to her for probably 9 months for a weekly massage. It was perfect, perfect recommendation. Another friend recommended some reading. He had, or a lecture he had listened to online by Baba Ram Das. Remember Baba? And it was because I was struggling with, you know, how my mother had passed and so on. And his lecture was titled, "Death is Not an Outrage." It was just the right thing for me to hear at just the right time. Kind of amazing. And then somebody told me about a writing workshop that was going on at the local theater and suggested I get back into doing a little writing. And I started doing that, opened up some new things, got my creative activity going again, my writing. Very healing, very healing. It's almost as if there was a master orchestrator saying, she needs to work with this on a physical level now, let's bring in a massage therapist. If somebody was orchestrating, she needs some information about how death is not an outrage, it's a natural part of life, let's bring in this, let's bring in that. But I wasn't doing it. There was no personage that was, orchestrating my healing. It was coming from that core, that heart of healing, that center in us that's all about guiding us toward greater wholeness. And it's going on all the time, bidden or not bidden, God is present. It's always at work. So our job is not to orchestrate it all, not to figure it out, but to be open, be aware God is the source, be ready to follow guidance as it comes, be open to it, have our antenna up. Don't push our agenda or try to rush it by grasping onto something we think that's going to solve all our problems, like geography, change the geography and everything will be better. Anyone ever thought that? If I move to Florida, if I move to wherever. No, we're aware. We don't have to orchestrate it or decide how it's going to work. We let God do the work through us, just as Jesus of Nazareth did, just as emergence theorists tell us is going on all the time. There's this divine healing activity going on in us all the time. And so whatever healing we're in need of, we know that. We affirm that. We are not alone. There's a powerful healing energy at work in us, in our loved ones, in our friends, in our community, in our planet. Everywhere, this ceaseless activity that's all about restoring wholeness and guiding us toward our higher selves. So we'll affirm that in a prayer now if we could. Let's close our eyes for just a moment. Affirm our awareness of this power and presence that dwells in us, that we dwell within, that is with us always, that is with all those we love, all those we care about, that is with living beings across the globe. Not one of us is disconnected from that source of healing energy, of radiant, abundant life. So we are wide open to it. We invite it to flow through us in fullness. Guide us to wholeness always. Thank you, God, for your unfailing presence in our very midst. Amen.
Amen.
All right, we have another song upcoming, yes? And I don't know what it is, but you'll tell us what it is, right? Okay.
It's all about September.
All right.
This tune was written back in 1938 by Kurt Weill, lyrics by Maxwell Anderson. hear my note up. When you meet a young man early in spring, they court you with song and rhyme. They woo you with words and a clover ring. But if you examine the goods they bring, they have little to offer but the songs they sing, and a plentiful waste of time of day, and a plentiful waste of time. But then this part you'll know. Oh, it's a long, long time from May to December, and the days grow short when you reach September, when the autumn weather turns the leaves to flame. One hasn't got time for the waiting game. Oh, the days dwindle down to a precious few. September, November, and these few precious days I'll spend with you. These precious days I'll spend with you. September, November, and these few precious days I'll spend with you. These precious days I'll spend with you. Jack White, ladies and gentlemen.
Luis Salvador.